Hey everyone, in this video we are going to be going over 7 must-have CRM automations. Alright, so the first must-have CRM automation is form integration. So if you currently have forms on your site and they are simply just sending your reps emails or yourself an email every time a form is filled, you are going to want to integrate that form with the CRM. So there's a few ways you can go about this. One, you can integrate the forms you already have with the CRM, or two, you can use Zoho Forms and replace the forms on your site with Zoho Forms because they have an easy plug and play with the CRM. So let's go over Zoho Forms first, and then I will circle back to how you can integrate your current forms. So the first thing you're going to want to do from one.zoho.com, you're going to go into Forms here. And you can see I have this lead discovery form. You can just go ahead and click on New Form. And we will do lead intake form. From here, you can go to integrations. And obviously first you're going to want to go through the builder and make sure you have everything here in order to take in a lead and all the required information so that you can properly look at a lead and qualify that lead. So I'll just really quickly throw this together. We'll want address, website, and then contact information here. All right, so that's everything we're going to need to get started in this example, and we will head over to integration. Go ahead and you can see here in the integrations menu on the left, you have Zoho CRM and a bunch of other products. Obviously, you're going to want to select Zoho CRM. Once you integrate there, you can go to the module, and I would recommend that for any kind of leads, you're typically going to have that port over to, for any form fill, that's typically going to port over to leads. That's where you can filter opportunities. That's what leads is meant for. So go ahead and click on leads, standard layout, and you can begin mapping all the fields from the CRM to, or all the fields from Zoho Form to the fields in Zoho CRM. So this is where you're going to do field mapping. Pretty simple. You are just going to match up everything that's on your form to what's in the CRM. So first name, last name, we'll make these mandatory. And what else do we have? Address. We don't have address fields in the CRM, it looks like. Oh, apologies. We do. Street. Let me just add that street. Zip. State. Country. Perfect. Yeah, so obviously here's the Zoho form fields and here's the Zoho CRM fields. There's a couple action automations here. You can, and you'll want to select this. This essentially says, okay, once a lead is submitted, do we want to trigger according workflow rules, blueprints, command center, and any other automations within the CRM? You are going to want to select this, or else any additional configurations and automations that you built in the CRM will not be triggered. So go ahead and select that. Attachment and signature, send attachments and signatures to Zoho CRM. If you have like a signature field within the CRM, that will port over. And you will also, not only will this create a lead and fill those fields within the lead record in the CRM, you will also get an attachment of the form fill. If you'd like to select that, you definitely can. Approval, send entries to approval list in Zoho CRM. Basically, this is just a way not to muddy up your data within leads. You can set up an approval process first. Then you have GCLID. GCLID is the Google Click ID. So if you want to pass that over to the CRM, I recommend highly that you select that. The next option here is upsert record. Essentially, if there's already a record that exists with that same email or phone number or whatever unique identifier you'd like to use, then, and obviously right here, you can select the unique identifier that you would like to upsert if there's a match. Essentially, upserts update. I wouldn't recommend selecting this. Obviously, you can have one person reach out to you and that would equal multiple opportunities or deals. So don't worry too much about selecting this. For assignment rules is the next automation that you must have in your CRM, and we'll be discussing that later. You will definitely want to select this as you would like to trigger those assignment rules. And you can select specific lead assignment rules for yourself. That way, the leads are going exactly where they need to go, as you can add multiple assignment rules within your system. So make sure you select that. And lastly, you can tag records out of the box. So you can say, okay, we are going to tag this record with a field from the form bill. That's something you can do as well. And the last thing you're going to do is just click integrate. So now that this integration is set up, you're going to want to embed this onto your site. So you can head over to share, go to embed. I highly recommend you use this JavaScript snippet here, and this will basically make the form responsive. That way, if someone is changing the size of the window that they're on, the frame of the form will change along with that, as opposed to staying stagnant and then having a messy UI there. So go ahead and copy this code and give it to your webmaster or your web developer, and they can go ahead and throw this into your site. Alrighty, so the second must-have CRM automation is that of lead assignment rules. So I'm here inside of lead assignment rules. I'm just going to back out to the CRM homepage to get started on this, show you the navigation. So from the homepage, you'll go to the setup gear icon top right. And from there, under automation, you can go to assignment rules. So go ahead and add an assignment rule. Let's choose the leads module here, and we will do leads general round robin. You can add a description if you'd like. We'll go ahead and go to the next section here. And the first thing that we can do is we can apply this rule to all records or records of a certain kind. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to set up this rule to just apply to all records in the system. The second part of lead assignment rule setup is we can assign records to a certain amount of users, or we can set up this lead assignment rule to send a lead to a user matching specific conditions. So let's start with certain users. Well, if I go here, I can either toggle between users or roles. If you haven't set up user roles, make sure to go ahead and do that. You can go to setup, user or security control, and then users, and you can configure the roles and permissions from there. Cool. So if I click on users, I can go ahead and select on all the users in my account. This is a multi-select pick list field. So anyone that you select here will be assigned in a round robin pattern. So from here, I could also select users matching a certain condition. So let's say I had a member of our team and they were really, really good at closing a certain type of deal. Maybe it was a lead source that they're really comfortable, a lead source that they just have higher closing rates with, any kind of condition like that. Well, you go ahead and say, okay, if this user has X profile, or if this user has a certain kind of condition, like let's say it was skills. Well, skills isn't going to come out of the box within the CRM, but if you wanted to add it, you could just close out of here. You could go to, where could you go? Then you'd go to users and controls, users, click on the edit here and manage fields. So let's say I wanted to select a skill here. I could add that. You could put skills and say closing off organic YouTube. Let's just use this as an example or other. So all your YouTube leads, you wanted to go to a certain rep, right? Then you could close out of here. You could go back to automation, assignment rules, to our round robin, and we go to users matching certain conditions. We go to skills, and we can say contains YouTube. Cool. So from here, would you like to check user availability before assigning? Essentially, if you have shift timing set up in your system, or there's an online status such as active or inactive, then this rule will only be applied if they are in their shift time or if their online status is on. So go ahead and select that if that is important to you or you'd find that helpful. If not, I'll just go ahead and select no, and we can save our rule entry. So when you can also, on top of the rule, you can say, okay, when none of the above criteria is met, then let's select a logged in user to receive that lead. Then you can go ahead and select on any that you would like and save. All right, so that's how you can set up a lead assignment rule. You should be good to go, and we will see you in our next video. Hey everyone, the third must-have CRM automation is that of lead conversion mapping. This actually comes out of the box within the CRM, but I will be showing you how to wield this appropriately. So if we are to jump into the CRM, go to leads. This is one way to navigate over to lead conversion mapping. There's a few ways. I don't know why this is my favorite way to do it, but this is what I always do. I'll jump into a lead, and looks like we can't access that one for whatever reason. And looks like we can't. Oh, well, I'm in my converted leads. So go ahead and go to all leads and click into a lead and go to convert. And you're not actually going to convert this lead. You are just going to hit this quick link, lead conversion mapping. Now, I go that way because it's a force of habit, but let me show you the another way to get there. So from the home page, you can go to settings, go to modules and fields, and leads, these three dots here, and then you can go to lead conversion mapping. So what is lead conversion mapping? Well, I have a video on should you be using the leads module, so you can go check that out for further information on this. But essentially the gist of lead conversion mapping is, instead of creating an account, contact, and deal and making those associations every time you have any sort of opportunity come in the door for your business, you will first start them off as a lead. And once they meet the lead conversion criteria or you qualify the lead, then they will become an account, contact, or deal. So essentially, Zoho is offering to do the heavy lifting for you. They're saying, okay, so put all the leads from account, contact, and deal that you need initially into one form, being the lead. Now, when the lead is converted, we will create 3 records for you and make those associations so that it's a click of a button instead of you going through 3 different forms and then adding those lookups yourself. So if you look from left to right here, you have the lead fields on the left. Then you have the account fields, contact fields, and deal fields. So now it's up to you. So obviously we are going to look at the company field, if we have it here, which looks like it may have been changed. So like the website would, obviously you'd want that to go to the account. You really don't need that on the contact or deal, or maybe you want to. Maybe you want that. So make sure that first you've added that field to the account. You can see that it's already added here. And that they're both URL fields, right? So they were set up properly in the first place to pass that information over. Street, you can do, the street can pass over both to the account and to the contact if you would like. But the point is, and the important takeaway here is, it is now up to you to choose what a lead will become after it's converted. So make sure that you set this up and that you have it configured appropriately without any configurations and integrations in the CRM. There's not enough workflow leverage to justify using one. And typically user adoption is really difficult unless you put up the necessary upfront effort in configurations. So this is a must-have CRM automation. Highly recommend that you configure this, and we will see you in the next video. Okay, so the third must-have CRM automation here is your lead outreach cadence automation. So what is lead outreach cadence? Essentially, it is how do you work your leads when they get into your system? So we've already answered the question of where are the leads going to go? Someone fills out the form on my site. What queue is that going to fall under? Whose queue is it going to fall under? What user is in charge of making outreach attempts to that individual that filled out the lead? Who's going to capitalize on that opportunity, right? So we already covered that. But this is the next step. So a lead should have a set of statuses that it runs through before it's converted to a deal. And these are the statuses I highly recommend that you implement into your system, and they have explanations as well. So rejected, not a real lead. Recycled, returning to nurture/marketing. MQL, this is the lead's default status. It stands for marketing qualified lead, and it's just shorthand for it's ready to be worked by a representative of your company. So working, you are making outreach attempts, which means it starts as a MQL, right? And then as a user of your system sees the MQL, they can mark it as working, which means it's mine. I don't want this switched. I don't want anyone's taking this. I am currently making the outreach attempts, so don't rip it away from me. And then reached means we've had 1+ conversations and we're getting ready to convert this lead to an opportunity/deal. So lead outreach cadence has everything to do with working. So how do you work your leads is the biggest question to answer throughout this video. And we have prepared a document here. It's very simple, but this template is going to walk you through creating your cadence. And your cadence is how you work your leads. So for example, let's say I had RingCentral integrated with my CRM. Well, I could define my cadence as day 1. We are going to call that individual that filled out the lead. And then day 4, we're going to call, and then day 8. Obviously, if we connect on day 4, we're not going to go to day 8, right? And that's why this will only happen while you are in the lead status working, which means you're making outreach attempts. If you're to change to reached, then none of these automations would trigger. So important thing to note there, right? Okay, so moving forward, you need to fill this out and say what calls are we going to make on what days. The next thing that you'll need to do is you'll need to go into leads, and you can see in this system, go to all leads here real quickly. You'll see they've added a field called next action date. So what would next action date do? Well, next action date would auto-populate via automation based on your cadence. So yes, this part's a little more tricky. You would need to know Deluge and have a pretty sound understanding of workflow rules to implement this. This video is more for the purpose of getting the general concept out there because it takes a little time to understand and then understand how it would work in the system, how to visualize that process. So once this is set up, you can hard code the cadence to every time a call is made. You can trigger to reference how many calls have been made already while this has been in the lead status working. So if there had been 2 calls, you can set up like a hidden field and it will tally every time a call is made, right? So if there's 2 calls made and that's tallied out, then the system knows that it needs to add 1, 2, 3, 4 more days to the next action date, and it will auto-populate every time a call is made while the lead is in the status working. So that's the first part, is you need lead next action date automation. The second part here is you'll head to leads and the leads list view, and then you'll go to this section here. These are custom views, and you'll need to set up something like this custom view here called My Follow-Ups. You can name this whatever you'd like, lead outreach cadence, anything you want. But you need to edit this, and you need to do a couple things. So this system doesn't have the lead statuses I had mentioned. It's yet to be implemented, but you would definitely go through lead status, and you would make sure it is working. So if the lead status is working, and you'll want to make sure the lead owner is logged in user, and you'll want to share this with everyone. That way everyone has their own call queue. They know what they need to follow up. They know the next day. Really key piece here. The next action date needs to be till yesterday or till today. So keep that in mind. I wish the system would do a till today. That would just make this so much easier, right? Because then you can see the calls you need to make for today, but you can just adjust your cadence accordingly to this tiny limitation. So once this is set up, as the action date is updated, you will have your call queue fill up, and you will just see all the calls that you need to make today, and any of the calls that you've missed prior. That way you're not just seeing a window for the calls you need to make today. You can see any that you've missed. So, and then you can sort that view based on any criteria within the lead as well. So this gives you a really easy way to work your leads. If you have if you have members of your team that are doing a lot of lead outreach, this is going to be very crucial for you, and it will be a must-have CRM automation to make everyone's lives easier. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of content, make sure to like our video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you in the next video. Hey everyone, the fifth must-have CRM automation here is Deal Name Standardization. Now, what on earth is Deal Name Standardization? Essentially, you pick fields within the deals record that as they are selected, it will create the deal name for you. I highly recommend you do this. It's just a nice quality of life automation to have in your system. And as you gain more system users, you're really going to want to have this in place because deal names can get really messy really quick. So from here, I'm going to add a deal. And you can see here there is a client script little tab here. So if I click this, you can see that I have gone in on the back end and I have created a few client scripts. You can just go ahead and skip this tour. Essentially, the client script is a block of code, and basically what it's saying here is after a field is filled, take this data and throw it in the deal name in a certain place. So you will need to add that block of code to every single field that you want to concatenate within the deal name. And that's how you standardize a deal name. So I'm going to close out of this. And here I have standardized my name, my deal names with 3 different fields: the account, the contact, and the amount field. So you can see here as I fill out the account field here, you are going to see company 13 now pops up in the deal name. And if I go down to contact name and I select the contact name here, you can see it will now pop up in the deal name. And then you can see I will also select the amount field, and I'll just put 12,000 here. Took me a sec. And now that is also a part of the concatenation here. So now if I save this record, I didn't even have to put in the deal name, and it is created for me. So highly recommend that you add this to your CRM. I will leave a snippet of code in the description below so that you can use that to configure your system, and you should be good to go from there. Hey everyone, welcome to the 6th must-have CRM automation. This is concerning proposal generation automation. Essentially, we're doing 2 things here. We are merging records with templates, giving you time to preview those templates, and then we are automating the send out for signature. So this is super helpful. Throughout the lifetime of your deals, you are probably sending out proposals for signature, and we want to minimize the amount of time it takes you to create those and to send them out. So let's get started in the system. And the first step is we need to upload your template to the CRM mail merge section. So from here, we'll go to setup, and then you will jump into templates under customization, and you'll go to mail merge, and you can do one of two things here. You can create a template here from a file that you already have. You can see the supported formats here: ZDoc, Doc, and DocX. So go ahead and you can upload your file there. If you do not have a file and you just want to create that template in system, then you can go from this mail merge to create new template. Name the template. We'll just call this demo. Create this blank. And you can see we are redirected to writer.zoho.com. What is this? This is like Google Docs, but for Zoho. So if you go down here, you are already taken to template configuration. The source is Zoho CRM. And you can see here that from the mail merge, I am in all modules. You can choose what fields from what module are going to merge into the document here. So go ahead and from here, create your template, and we will move on to the next step. Actually, before I do that, I'm just going to show you what this actually looks like. So if, I had a template here, and, I had my title, my proposal title, and I had my from rep, and I had my first name, last name, and I had like proposed hourly rate. Then I could, and these are not going to match up perfectly, but you will get the idea. So essentially I could just go through here, first name, last name. I could do user, my role. Obviously these don't match up, but you kind of get the point. Proposal title. So you could go through here, and obviously the proposal title here is going to be static. The proposed hourly rate, if that's on the deal, then you could find your hourly rate. I don't have that field, therefore it's not there, but you get the idea. So go ahead, create your template or upload your template. And the next step here will be to install the Zoho WorkDrive extension. So let's hop back into the system, close out of this, go to the marketplace in Zoho. Sorry, actually you'll go to all. I always forget that WorkDrive is not a part of the Zoho section here. I feel like it should be. So you go to all and you go to WorkDrive. And what is Zoho WorkDrive? It is like Google WorkDrive or Google Drive, but it is with Zoho, you get 2 terabytes out of the box with Zoho WorkDrive if you have Zoho One. So I highly recommend you install this extension, even if you're not going to do proposal automation. It is super cool, and I'm going to show you why. So if I go ahead and install this, it's going to prompt me and say, okay, yep, by installing this app, I agree to the terms of service. I'm going to go ahead and install. I'm going to agree, continue. You can install for admins only, install for all users, or you can choose which users. So I'm going to just install for all users in this system, even though this is a demo. All right, so from here, you can see the installation is in progress. Well, let's talk about what the Zoho WorkDrive for CRM extension is going to do. So for your core modules, leads, contacts, deals, and accounts, this is going to create a WorkDrive folder for each of those records and modules. It's also going to add a number of fields to each of the modules there, and I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. So if we head over to deals, and we can hop into this demo deal that I used to show the deal name standardization, you can see maybe it has populated perfect work drive folder URL, work drive folder ID. So these aren't populated yet. The extension is still running and installing. But essentially what you can see is at the bottom now we have this Zoho work drive window. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to throw this to the top. Organize deal details. These are all the related lists, right, that are within the module. So I'm going to pull this up to the top. And you can replace attaching directly to records with Zoho Work Drive. You also want to consider avoiding this because you have a cap in the amount that Zoho CRM has its own storage engine. And if you cap out on the amount of storage there, then you'll have to pay extra for storage with Zoho. Just don't even worry about that. Get the Zoho Work Drive extension if you have Zoho 1 and you should be good to go. It's much more robust anyways. Okay, so now you can see Zoho Work Drive is up here at the top and there's no associated folder with this record. So what we are going to do is I'm just going to refresh this and let's just hope that the extension is done installing here. That it has taken its time to run through the system. And it is not, but that is totally okay. We are going to, we have already done the step. Essentially all we need to do is install the Zoho Work Drive extension, make sure that you've done that. And the next thing you need to do, and this is the trickiest part of this whole process, is the scripting. So we have already developed a script for this. It's a very lightweight script, which means we've cut down on the lines of code within it because we do it so often. So we will provide the script for you down below. Go ahead and take a whack at it. If you need help configuring the script, go ahead and let us know. We can point you in the right direction. But essentially here, what the script is doing is really cool. So the script is going to take the fields in your record and the merge tags in the template, and it's going to merge them all together. And then it's going to find the Zoho Work Drive folder that we've just created here, which it's still waiting to load, as we know. It's going to take that merged document, place it in the Work Drive folder, and from there, we can hop into the document, preview the merge, make sure it looks right in the way that we want, and then we can send it out for signature. So configuring the script, as I said, is the most difficult part of this. We will provide it down below. So once you configure the script, the second thing you need to do is you need to decide on a trigger. When do you want to trigger all of this to happen? You can trigger this on deal creation so that you just have all of those documents lined up right off the bat, or you can trigger this on a custom button press, which you can add to your system. Alrighty, so the last video in this series and the last must-have CRM automation here will actually be taking place in analytics. But as the automation of CRM reporting, you will probably notice yourself creating lots of reports inside of CRM reports. That's a great place to go for a quick report. However, Zoho One offers you Zoho Analytics, which is a robust BI tool that I highly recommend that you take advantage of. So you can see here in front of me, I have two of my favorite reports that I like to add to a sales reporting dashboard. You can configure this quite extensively. That's why I like to use it. Also, you can automate the reporting functionality. So let's say you have to report on certain metrics within your pipeline every 2 weeks and you have a distribution list of those that you need to send the report out to. Well, this Zoho Analytics can do all of that. So it's super robust. Now, for purposes of this video, I'm just going to show you two of these reports that I recommend that you build and kind of give you a feel for the automation and why this can take so much weight off your back within the CRM. So with that, the first thing that you need to do to really get started here is jump into data sources. So you need to set up the Zoho CRM data source if you haven't already. This is just, you hop into Zoho Analytics, go to data source, and then upload all of your CRM information. Once you do that, you can start creating charts and reports. And you can see this report, one that I really, really like, and honestly, it's like a must-have for everybody, is a pipeline report by stage. So there's a lot of different pipeline reports that you can do. This one is obviously by stage, as mentioned. So you can see here is my sales process here, qualification needs analysis. These are just the stages that are within my these are just the stages within my pipeline. So you can see qualification. We got a few things going on here. So we got the amount and then the expected amount or expected revenue. So what does that mean? Well, if you go into the CRM and then you go to configure your deals, you're going to see something on the right-hand side. So I'll just jump over there with you very quickly and we'll take a look. So I go into modules and fields and I go to stages. You can go to stage probability mapping. So these probabilities here are generating what is the expected amount. So for example, if I set my probability in creating contract to 50%, which means I know that from running deals in my system, I close about half the deals that pass through that stage, then I would set this to 50%, right? These are just, obviously you're initially gonna set these up as very rough percentages, and then over time you can cue in on what the more accurate percentage would be. So if it was 50%, then I would report the expected revenue for that deal to be let's say I set the amount, it was like a $10,000 deal. Obviously then it would be $5,000. So the point is you don't want to report on every single deal equally because not all deals have an equal chance of closing, right? So let me just jump back into analytics here and I will show you these reports. All right, so the first is the pipeline report by stage. So you can see I have one deal in qualification and then one deal in needs analysis. And I have 4 deals that have been closed and 1. So this gives me a great view of how many deals I have sitting in the pipeline. And then on the flip side, I can also see the expected revenue from these deals. Expected revenue is just what we went over. It is the deal amount times the decimal of the percentage that you set for probability of closing. So just gives you better estimates, right? And then from there, you also can see I have the amount, which is the amount unweighted, not weighted down by the probability. So this is a great report. It's a must-have. Highly recommend it. The problem with the CRM is it doesn't give you very good visual reports that you can make super robust with all the filters that you want. So there's three ways to make reports in the CRM. Well, there's 3 ways to make reports regarding the CRM. 1 is Zoho CRM reports. 2 is Zoho CRM Analytics. And then 3 is a completely separate app, which is what we are in right now, and that's Zoho Analytics. I recommend you get familiar with Zoho Analytics, but for quick reports, you can just go to Zoho and then reports. It shows up like as a module. So anyways, so you've got this report here. Highly recommend that you save this and that you create one of these and that you use it and reference it often. The second report that I'd recommend that you create, or one of my favorites that I like to have in sales dashboards, is the pipeline source report. So you work hard to gather all of these sources from all these leads. You know, how are you knowing which lead sources generally lead to, or how much revenue you're getting from all these lead sources? How do you know? You would know from a pipeline source report. So essentially, you can see down here, this is pipeline revenue by lead source. You can filter and slice and dice this many different ways. You could just display what's been closed won, or you could display what's currently in the pipeline and what sourced it. And then obviously you can do what we had just mentioned. You could do amount weighted and unweighted by the probability of closing. So lots of stuff you can do here. But it is a very good report. From left to right, you can see for call-ins, we have 1 lead or 1 deal that was a call-in. This deal is worth $20,000, but it is in the beginning stages, and therefore we are expecting about $200 to close in revenue there. So you can see this is across cold call, Google Ads, all of my lead sources there, and this is the pipeline source report. Now, for stringing this all together and putting it back into the CRM, we are going to create a dashboard, and we are going to throw together the pipeline report, and we are going to throw the pipeline source report. So a dashboard is essentially a combination of reports that you build. So you can just throw those together. There's a lot you can do here. There's so much. I am just going to cover kind of the basics here of what this would look like to add. We will call this the sales dashboard. And I'm going to save this. Then I am going to go to view mode, share, get a permalink. I highly recommend that you do this. This is going to be very helpful. Essentially what we're going to do is add this as a web tab in the CRM. That way you don't have to jump in analytics and view each report individually. You can see it from one dashboard. You can even put dashboard wide filters on here. It is super cool and super helpful. We're going to do access with login. And I'm going to copy this. Going to head back to the CRM. And we are going to go to modules and fields, web tabs, create sales dashboard, links, save. Okay, so you can see here now at the very bottom, I have my sales dashboard. And now I can see pipeline report by stage and pipeline source report. So at a glance, it's in my CRM, ease of access, super powerful reporting. Highly recommend that you automate your reporting process here. You can even get this to send in a PDF format to a distribution list. And let me touch on that real quickly since I've just mentioned that. You go to the report and you can export as HTML. Layout is in dashboard PDF. So I'll show you with so I'm not going to show you that. You can go ahead and play around with that feature and functionality. But what you can do here is you can go to share and you can email and you can edit email schedules. You're going to go to share, email, and then you're going to go to edit email schedules. Where it was here that you do this. Okay. So if you want to send this report out to a distribution list at a certain on a certain schedule, then this is how you'll do that. You'll go to share, email, layout as in dashboard PDF. What are the difference between these two? Each report here would be its own PDF as opposed to a dashboard wide PDF in the view that you're currently seeing it. So let's select that one. That way, whoever we send this report to, they're not having to jump through a bunch of PDFs to look at everything. They can just jump into one. And you can start picking users within your own system, or you can start selecting random emails that you would like to send out to. They don't have to be within your organization, but if they are, then you can go to pick users and groups and you can see all your contacts here, all of your users. It's just super, super powerful that you can reach all this information very easily and then select whoever you want in your distribution list. So you can configure the subject, the message, and then schedule email. You can say every week. Configure the schedule that you'd like, and then advanced options. You can apply the corresponding share filter criteria. And this stuff's a little more advanced. I'm not going to dive too much into it, but the important takeaway here is that you can schedule the email to send out on any interval that you choose, and that you can send it out in a PDF copy, as well as you can just share the permalink and include that right here in the message for distribution of this dashboard. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this kind of content, please like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you next time.